still have to be like the approach for TSM? Because you know those episodes I referenced before of TSM Legends? A lot of those arguments between Bjergsen and Lokadoka are always about the topic of like, can Bjergsen get the champions he wants? Can they get Team be Vista on him? Can he be allowed to carry? Whereas what Lokadoka tends to always argue against is more along the lines of like he wants it to, well, he imagines he has a super good roster where he does have all the tools where we could play like a proper style of, oh, now we're going to play based on this AD carry for this game and we're going to do this pick over here instead and this comp instead. Whereas that only works if you have the tools to make it happen. Do you think they are still going to be like the Bjergsen show? Is that going to be TSM?
For now, yeah.
I mean they have to be, right? There's no other choice.
They have him there.
Well, it's not that they have him there. It's that what are their other options? Dyrus carries. Well, we're gonna check that one right off. Turtle's having a bad season, so that's not really helping right now. And who else left? All right, Bjergsen. That's it. That's it. They don't have a choice besides to do this, unless they actually replace players now. And there aren't good options. Who are they going to get to replace Dyrus and Wild Turtle? Do you have more carry power?
Europeans.
Well, but who's available in the middle of the season?
Wait, I don't think they can they? They have too many replacements, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing,
I'm not
Monty.
sure about the rules.
See, everyone tells me, Monty, that we're wrong on that. That actually they can get a play because supposedly Santorin is grandfathered in. That's what I was told.
Yeah, because of the Challenger Series.
Because he was in Coast. So everyone tells me they could have another, but like they could have Freeze or Forgiven or whoever.
No, they still have Let's Play Bjergsen. They're both imports.
Isn't Bjergsen grandfathered in?
Yeah, I thought Let's Play and Bjergsen were grandfathered in or some shit. I don't really know how it works. It's all complicated. I'm not sure if they can. But I don't think so. Even in a world where they can have a European or another foreign top laner or AD carry, who is available to them right now? Kevin? I mean,
Wicked.
Wicked.
There we go. Problem solved.
I'm just saying, there isn't like an obvious choice, right?
Also, I'll admit I'm being selfish there. The main reason I'm thinking of Wicked is because here's the problem. I'm not even thinking of them as a team anymore, Sneaky. I'm thinking of them as a TV show, which is TSM Legends. So I'm just casting for what I think would be the coolest person to bring in. Like, it's like a reality show, you know. I don't just want to bring in like a boring person. I want to bring in the guy who's going to argue a lot and is going to be the drama. Let's bring in Wicked.
And Wicked and Forgiven. That would make that show amazing.
Fucking amazing, wouldn't it? The ratings alone. Fuck World. Just the ratings on that show alone will be incredible. They'd be the best. Also, it's a real shame we don't have a reality show about CLG this season, because I'd love to see that Clemson fella learning the hard way about CLG life. Like, but wait a minute, it's almost like when I was at Clemson, people didn't tell the coach to fuck off and decide that they were going to do what they wanted in the game. It's almost like there was even a structure there that I naively mistook for just always being present in teams. I have learned a valuable lesson now. I don't think he'll ever say that stuff. He'll probably just be like, fuck it, double lift. He's a guy, toxic presence. Some elements of the team wouldn't always listen, and we wouldn't do what we agreed in practice. But we win as a team, we lose as a team. So I guess that was all of us who did that. Not one person, obviously. So here's the problem, Sneaky, is like with the Gravity situation, Monty's logic for why Gravity can't win internationally surely applies to TSM tenfold, which is they don't have a carry top laner, and they definitely don't have a carry top laner who can TP in and do a home guard flank on someone and get on top of the AD carry. So isn't TSM fucked internationally?
Yep.
Monty's words, not mine. Sneaky, what are you saying? Come on, they are like your sister team, just a team that you know really well, I mean, you know.
I don't know, like, they did pretty well at Super 4 Worlds, not terribly, like, this is basically the same thing as us.
Yeah.
They still faltered some in group stages, but I don't think they're, like, totally fucked, but I don't think they're winning world status, of course.
I mean, that goes without saying. Let's not even be silly here. They're never going to win worlds, were they? But they're not even going to make... Okay, you want a bold statement here? You want the Sneaky? You want the bold statement?
Go ahead.
So I don't know yet what the groups will be like. So admittedly, last Worlds TSM got like the Illuminati confirmed group, where it's like I don't know how many innocent people had to die to create a power vortex that allowed that group to exist. But anyway, assuming
not only for the group to exist, but for Svenskeren to be kicked out of that group too.
Oh god.
But anyway,
that was such a disaster.
Assuming that doesn't happen, Sneaky, assuming it's a normal world where they get a group with a Korean team, a Chinese team, you know, both of these scenarios, and let's assume it's the same format again. It's going to be like 4 groups of 4. I'm going to go ahead and say that with 3 Chinese teams and 3 Korean teams, I don't think TSM's even getting out of groups with this lineup.
And also, HQ is not a bad team. So that's...
Yeah, that's true.
I think TSM isn't getting out of groups this Worlds.
I don't think any NA team's getting out of groups this Worlds.
In its current state, yeah. I agree as well.
Yeah, unless it changes, right. Obviously, if somehow... you know, we see some massive improvement, there's that possibility, but just looking at things as they are, it does seem rather unlikely.
So here's the bold statement number 2. Are you ready? You ready for me to go full ridiculous statement, Suki? I think the team with the best chance out of NA teams of getting out of groups is Team Liquid.
I agree with you.
Because at least they have the mechanical aspect where they could just do really well for the first 10 minutes. They could actually be surprising to some Western team, some Asian team, like, oh, I didn't know they actually had like good individual players. And then maybe from there you can live to win a game or 2. I think they have the upset potential.
I agree.
Sneaky, what do you think?
Yeah, sounds about right. Hard to argue.
So you don't think TSM or Gravity is going to be getting out of groups if they're there?
I mean, like I just said, in its current state, yeah, pretty fucked.
Okay, let's just end the NA segment there. Okay, so we will now shift our focus to Europe. That's right, an NA LCS player actually watches European LCS and will now attempt to comment on it. Let the fireworks show begin. You know, that almost never happens, sadly, believe it or not. It's so hard to get people to actually watch the other LCS. Now, with that said, let's just start right at the top, Sneaky. So, Fnatic, ever since MSI, obviously people have been impressed with what they could do at MSI, and they haven't lost a single game in LCS in the EU. What do you think of this current Fnatic?
Pretty disgusting results. 14-0, I think, is the record. So ridiculous. I think it beats out our win streak, actually, of 13 in the regular season.
Okay.
But, I don't know, they seem to be super insanely good. Apparently the Steelback in Reckles transformation was a very correct one. I thought it was actually... I didn't think it would actually work out so well. I thought it'd be okay, because Reckles has sometimes seemed to wanted to draw attention to himself, but it seems like he fits insanely well in the Fnatic team.
So when you consider that the only teams they have left to play is Elements, SK, Roccat, and Unicorns of Love, so they've already played all the top teams already basically twice. Are they going to go undefeated? Are they going to go 18-0, do you think?
I'm hoping for it, honestly. That'd be such an amazing story.
You think they'll do it?
Their last games have looked a little bit shaky. The one against Giants, AP Ezreal. Could have lost that game, should have lost that game.
Also, the Origin game that they played this week was actually a little shaky. What I'm worried about with Fnatic is that when I think about Europe, I think, okay, Origin has the individual player strength, but not the macro strength. And H2K has the macro strength, but not the individual player strength. And Fnatic has them both. But against Giants and against Origin, when they were falling behind early, they were misplaying their compositions. They were not kiting properly. They failed to identify how to team fight in the first couple of team fights, which causes them to fall behind by like 5 or 6k gold. And then, only then, do they get it together and they actually play the composition properly, which shows that they can learn and make those adaptations in game. But my concern is that while Fnatic is a very good team, if they go against teams that are truly world-class in terms of caliber, they're not going to get a second chance at playing a team comp properly. If they fall behind 6k, they're just going to lose. So that's something that I think they really need to shore up right now, is figure out how they're going to engage, or whether they're going to engage or kite something, and stick to that game plan, because they've been kind of all over the map, and that's caused them to start to fall behind. Which is fine, because they're so much better than everybody else in the EU, but probably won't work at Worlds. But I still think they're strong and look pretty good.
So are they actually Like, okay, let me ask it this way. If they go undefeated, that's like unheard of, obviously, even in Western teams. Like, the closest, obviously, is Cloud9 going 25-3 that time. Would this be, like, the best Western team in the LCS era? Aside from the fact that statistically it would be. Like, are they actually that... Do you think they... Is this the Western team, Sneaky, that can actually, like, beat Koreans and can do all this wonderful stuff I've ever wished someone would be able to do in the past?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's hard to say because I haven't actually played any of them in a while. The closest was MSI, but looking at it now, it's very similar to what we had, where we went into Worlds with the insane record, and I think we flopped. I don't think Fnatic will flop.
I don't think it's a matter of flopping. I think it's a matter of... If we look at MSI, and people do really love to point out MSI and say, like, Fnatic took them to 5 games, but Game 5 was... And it was an impressive performance, I'll take that away from them, but Game 5 was a pretty huge stomp for SKT. That game was not close by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that is a performance that they're not going to be able to replicate again against, like, a top 3 team in the world. It seems like, from my perspective, that's kind of an unstable thing to be looking at.
You also can't cherry pick results. Okay, so they won 4 games. They won 2 games out of 5 against SKT. That's great. They also lost to EDG and AHQ. What, we're going to pretend that didn't happen? Did they not lose to AHQ? Did that not happen? It did. So even in their best performance like that, it wasn't like perfect again. Well, perfect's irrelevant. I don't think to say, but it wasn't overwhelmingly so good that said we'll definitely do that again.
Right.
Either aspect could happen again.
Agreed.
With that said, Monty, in a game in which they still won against Origin, where you're criticising them and being like, you know, they had flaws in this area, they did still have a guy get like 11 kills on Jin.
Yeah, Featherman played really well. Definitely, and I'm not saying I'm just that is my criticism of Fnatic right now. I think they're a very good team. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying this is a flaw that I want to see them work on before Worlds, because I think that's going to really take them to the next level.
So okay, you have to be bold now, Monty. If we mentally were to match them up against top Asian teams, because we've seen that they just wreck everyone in a ULCS, so that's a bit irrelevant right now. Which sorts of Korean or Chinese teams would give them the most problems? Which ones could fit the bill of what you need? What Origin and HUK currently can't do to beat Fnatic? Who would be the right teams to do so?
I think the obvious ones, clearly SKT, EDG, LGD. These are teams that will be able to play very well against them and stack up very favorably, I think.
What about Coup?
I'm reluctant. My problem with Coup is that they have very good shot calling, but they still lose skirmishes early on, and I think that Fnatic could beat them in a best of 5 just because their early game fighting sometimes causes them to fall really far behind, and then they're overly reliant on their shot calling abilities to get them back in.
What about CJ?
I don't think CJ's going to Worlds, so...
I don't think so either.
I don't think that's happening.
So who's the third team going to Worlds, Money?
KT, probably.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, that's definitely not happening. But so okay, let's say they play KT. Let's say they play KT. What would happen in a best of 5?
Fnatic versus KT.
I think KT would do well. I think they would. I think that they have the early game potency to take a strong advantage. But we'll see. The thing about when I say KT, it's very unclear right now who the third team going to Worlds will be because of how crazy everything is in between the 3rd and the 6th place teams. So I think it's a little premature to be making those kind of theoreticals.
Yeah, but I mean, if we just imagine KT, so they've got Someday, who you worship in the top lane. So Someday against Tooney. What's going to happen now when your 2 favourite children have to fight, Monty? Who do you like more? Who do you like more?
I think KT has...
Monty, you think Someday is better than Tooney, correct? The fact he even had to do like that. Well, you didn't say no. You're not saying no, motherfucker. Did I stutter? Who's better? Listen, just because all the Western fans hate you, that shouldn't ever stop you from saying something, Monty. That will always be the case.
I think Somedays better, but...
Okay, well, there we go, that's one thing. What about, here's the interesting one though, what about Feathervin and Nagne?
I think Feathervin is better, actually.
It's a pretty big step up, right? That a Westerner, we could say he's better. I mean, I already said that about Froggenova Goon, and I was right. But ignoring that, let's pretend that never happened, because obviously he was never good, was he? Yeah. But yeah, that already happened, so there was that. Feathervin better than Nagne, it's not even a problem. Do you think, Sneaky, what do you actually feel about this Fnatic team? Like, what do you think's going to happen if they go to Worlds? What is your sense?
I think they'll make it out of groups.
Oh,
I don't know.
It totally depends on the group.
You think so? And they're gonna have first seed.
They're going to have first seed, Monty. That means
that's true.
They can't have first seed in the others, remember?
But that
first
means
seed
that,
is so
it means
much.
that they could have, like, something like,
Should I proceed?
what, like LGD could be in their group as China's second seed. They could end up with like 2 and 3 from China and Korea, something like that, right?
Okay. Well, you just said that's doable. Got KT there.
I
We've got
think that's fine.
PG. That might be doable.
It might be.
That's also the worst group that you imagine right now. What about all the other groups? What about the group where they get fucking Taiwan or something? Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
We can get TSM style shit as well, you know, bro. Riot doesn't just rig for Reggie only. Maybe they'll rig for Europe this time. I mean, and maybe the groups will just randomly be drawn that way, and then a video will be shown later showing that it was all legit and that actually the police officer didn't put a gun in that black guy's hand who they shot. Like that never happened. He actually already had the gun, Monty. That was a crime scene. Anyway, so you don't want to jump in on that one? No,
Nope.
Fair enough.
I'm all right, thanks.
See, so here's the thing, Sneaky. All this show, you've refused to stand up for the West, for your people, your culture, the traditions that have made you who you are as a man. So Fnatic is fucking undefeated, dude. They're undefeated. They even took SKT to 5 games. Feathervin was killing Faker. You can't even get behind Fnatic and be like, you know what? They're going to the final of Worlds.
I mean, I said they make it out of groups. I didn't even get to finish my statement.
Keep going then. Keep going. Unfold the statement.
I think as long as they aren't facing, which I actually don't, is it even possible for them to face another first seed from another group?
No.
Okay, so as long as they don't get second place in the group, I think they'll make it to semis.
My hands are
If they get first place in the group.
I would need to see the brackets before I would go out on a limb and say that, but it's possible. Like
Yeah,
I said,
I mean-
I said earlier that I don't think Fnatic is favored against any of the top Korean or Chinese teams, but I do think that they probably have maybe a 30% chance of making semis, depending on how things shake out in the groups. I think that would be the best percentage I would give them.
We're still missing something here, Monty. Here's the problem. They're undefeated. They haven't lost a game. They're beating every type of opponent in Europe. What is going to be different that's going to stop them beating these... Like, what do these Korean teams that you worship have that Fnatic don't have?
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Earlier in this conversation, I said that Fnatic is looking like a very strong team in multiple aspects of the game. But I think that when it gets to defeating a bunch of players and a bunch of different teams, it's going to be very problematic.
So wait, what is the problem here? Like, player-wise, Fnatic's fine, right? They have the skills to match up against these teams.
I'm not as sold on Reignover as I think other people are.
Okay. But they've got Reckless, they've got Feathervin,
Yeah, they have a very
Uni.
good. They have a stacked roster for sure.
So they are going to lack the skills when they play SKT when they play the other teams.
I think that, like I said, some of the issues with their identification of win conditions with their compositions are problematic right now. And SKT is not showing that same level of weakness. They look super prepared to play their comps.
That Sneaky, does Fnatic have issues knowing their win conditions at times?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen there last week.
Yeah, the Origin game was not a great game for them. I was impressive that they could come back and they played it well eventually, but you can't have those hiccups.
Yeah, he was taking it deep.
So does Fnatic not have the same level of macro strategy understanding as the best Korean teams? They're not evolved as much?
They're not as well.
You buy that, Sneaky?
Yeah, I agree. SKT looks pretty flawless at the moment.
But Monty, Fnatic has coming in top lane. Make a flank, come in, jump onto bang, problem solved.
Kill bang, problem solved. Well, killing bang actually doesn't do much against SKT because he's not really the main carry of that team. So
Yeah, they got Easy Hoon.
they got the Hoon,
Of the past.
and the Hoon will carry you to victory.
Yeah.
Does
I
it
heard
not?
so much hype about Easy Hoon before MSI.
What did you think?
conflict awaits?
I think it was TSM saying Easy Hoon would play better than Faker.
That sounds like TSM.
Yeah, I mean, it was just from their scrims.
But then again, TSM also thinks that being evil is better than being good. So listen, we all have differing opinions in the world, you know. Some of us like different things. I like puppy dogs, the coo of a little baby, to hear the birds fluttering outside me. You know, TSM like bats, they like caves, they like plotting the downfall of everything good in the world. We all like different things. It's what makes the world go round, that variety. You know? Also, by the way, just to put that in context there, Sneaky, the same TSM that thought Easy Hoon was better, they also thought that like their approach of team comps was going to be dynamite at that tournament, and that Bjergsen on Shogarth and Urgot was just going to rock the world, and that would actually be the new meta. So no, they actually had reinvented all of League of Legends. The whole meta, how the game was played, and they were unveiling it there. They were like, look at my creation. Like, that's nothing, mate. That's just a bad creation.
1 in 5.
Never forget. So, AHQ. That's all I'm saying, boys. AHQ. What would happen if Fnatic played against NA teams, do you think, Sneaky?
Choose your own path.
Against NA teams, at the moment, it'd be a pretty big stomp.
None of them would match up well?
A soul
I mean,
mirror.
alright, best of 5, it'd probably be okay. Maybe like 1 to 3.
Which ones do you think would match up best?
At the moment, Gravity Liquid, obviously. Top 2. No one else really has much strength at the moment.
What do you think, Monty, if you match Fnatic against these teams from NA?
I don't think it's anywhere close, and if Fnatic would crush them.
EU over NA confirmed Monte Cristo on...
3-0.
Yeah, there we go. 2015, Tuesday the 14th. And on this day, he blessed Europe. He said, "Go forth, destroy my home continent, who I cannot support." Then again, Sneaky feels the same way apparently. So.
Whoa.
Sneaky, aka Benedict Arnold. So,
I said 3-1.
okay,
Sounded
3-1.
like
You gave him a
I
game.
said
though.
3-0.
You at least gave him a game.
But, I mean, the reality is you're never even going to see that occur. Because that would require them to get out of groups and hit each other.
Yeah, exactly.
What does... So, beyond Fnatic, because here's one of the problems, is anytime a team dominates like that, people always are going to wonder, like, oh, are they dominating because the field's not that strong otherwise, you know? What do you actually make of, like, the two obvious teams after Fnatic, even just in the standings, is H2K and Origin, Sneaky, who have, like, their own obvious distinct strengths. Like, Origin has really strong players, H2K has a good approach to the game, they know in general how to win. What do you actually make of Europe outside of Fnatic? Do you think the other teams are strong?
Waving your head no. Origin looked really good when they first came out, but nowadays they dropped a few more games than I would have liked to seen. H2K, same thing. I don't think did they start out as strong? I can't actually recall. But they've obviously looked nearly as good. And the rest of them, I don't know, it's kind of a mix-up.
The rest of them, I mean, earlier this week, there were like, outside the top 3 teams, all teams were below 50% win rate. So it's basically just been Fnatic, Origin, and H2K stomping on everybody else, and then all the other teams just like trading games with each other. There's a huge drop-off between 3rd and 4th place, in my opinion, in terms of skill.
Like, Monty, if tomorrow Origin woke up in NALCS, how would Origin do in it against the whole NALCS?
Very well. They have a lot of individual talent on that team. I think they would be just fine.
So doesn't that just make them another Team Liquid?
Except they're better than Team Liquid is in terms of their macro play, in my opinion, and their coordination is much better around team fights. Even though they had some pretty bad team fights against Fnatic, I will say that this past week.
Sneaky, what do you think of Origin in this sense? How would they contrast to NA?
Yeah, I'd probably put them in the same spot as Liquid, like second place.
Okay.
Be first.
Do you think Monty overhypes H2K? Because he's basically in love with H2K, like the way they play the game. Oh, it's so correct. They do everything right.
I mean, they did lose to Rocket this week, so...
Are you in love with them?
I like H2K a lot, actually.
Combine it.
I mean, they're good, but I don't know, it's hard to compare when you have Fnatic in the region, shit stomping. I mean, they look like a good team, and they'll probably go to Worlds, but...
Well, they're pretty much, like, guaranteed. They did do very well last season, too, so... I mean, their circuit points would be hard to knock them out at this stage.
So in a
They
world...
have... How many?
I mean, H2K made 3rd place.
It's 50, right?
Something like
What's
that.
that?
Yeah.